Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Join the Patreon for this character sheet and a whole bunch more, and like and subscribe for cleaner roommates next time you play. Maybe. Today we're building Pearl from Steven Universe, the mom friend of Steven's 3 moms, effectively making her the Ultra Mom. Like all mom friends, she's concerned with safety, loves her kid, and owns an excessive amount of swords.
Do you ever space out just thinking about swords?
Okay, yeah. 100%. Yes, correct. All the time.
Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, we need more swords than you could shake a stick at, and heck, we'll grab a stick too, just to be safe. Next, we need some dance moves, and not awkward mom dance moves like full-on ballerina levels of dancing. Finally, we need some assistance, and who better to help than yourself? Everyone else would probably just mess it up. For stats, we'll be using the standard point array from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, just keep an eye on those multi-classing minimums. Intelligence will be number 1. You know all the history of the universe, and could maybe share some of that information with Steven Universe. Dexterity next, you love your weapons, but you use them all with finesse. Constitution after that, gems are a lot more durable than their meteor counterparts. Follow that up with charisma. You're a lovely dancer, even if you're kind of awkward. I'd say that's more of an issue of reading a room. That's low wisdom. But before we dump wisdom, put your strength at 10. Then yeah, dump wisdom. Human emotions are a bit much for you. Just dance, stab, and take care of Steven. When building Garnet and Steven, I had trouble nailing down what a gem race should be in D&D. Now, we have custom lineage. Custom lineage can be anything. It could even be a boat. You know how bad I want one of those. Bump your dexterity with your 2 free points, take the skill expert feat to add 1 to an ability score. Intelligence go up for big braining. You also get another skill like perception. Your wisdom might be bad, but you're not bad at looking at things. You also get expertise in 1 skill, doubling your proficiency bonus with that skill. Make that history, which will be our skill of choice from custom lineage. Then build your own background for arcana and investigation skills. So many skills, it's almost like you were trained as a servant before you became a superhero. To be good as a superhero, kick it off as a fighter, giving you 2 skills from the fighter list like athletics and acrobatics for the physicality of a master ballerina. Take dueling for your fighting style, adding 2 to the damage of your attacks with a weapon you're holding in one hand. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense. Second wind lets you recover 1d10 plus your fighter level as a bonus action once per short rest. You don't technically need to sleep, but you could if you wanted to, for sport. Second level fighters get action surge, letting make 2 actions in 1 turn once per short rest. Moms are capable of incredible feats of strength when their child is in trouble. I'm sure you could stab someone twice. Third level fighter is what we're here for, because Eldritch Knights love their weapons. They even get attached with weapon bond, letting you pick a weapon to conjure as an action as long as it's on the same plane. Hopefully your DM doesn't count the weird weapon closet demi-plane as a separate plane, otherwise just leave it at Chili's. You can summon it from Chili's. You also get spells and cantrips like Sword Burst, summoning a bunch of floaty swords that force a dexterity saving throw on creatures within 5 feet of you, dealing 1d6 force damage to all who fail. Message lets you whisper a message to a creature within 120 feet of you, and they can whisper back for some communication, always helpful when parenting. Your first level spells have to be Abjuration or Evocation, with 1 exception at this level, but that's fine. I want Mage Armor for 13 plus your dexterity modifier in AC, and Shield to add 5 to your AC as a reaction for some force field fun. Catapult lets you yeet an object that weighs 5 pounds or less at a creature, forcing a dexterity saving throw on them, dealing 3d8 bludgeoning damage if they fail. Since a rapier weighs 2 pounds and you have a bonded weapon, you now have a rapier with a thrown property. Kinda. We'll grab 1 more level of fighter for an ability score improvement. Get your dexterity up first. That's what we're using the most at the moment. That's prone to change though, especially once we dip over to wizard. First level wizards can grab 3 cantrips. Minor Illusion creates a small visual or audible illusion. It can be seen through with an investigation check against your spell DC, but you can also use it for a little graphical aid. Prestidigitation does some close-up gem magic stuff. You could heat things up, cool things down, make a tiny object, up to you, get creative. True Strike lets you give yourself advantage on a weapon attack next round. It's really bad. We're approaching the 2-year anniversary of the first True Strike joke, so I'm gonna not make it ambiguous this time. If you're a bigot, unsubscribe. Stop watching my videos. I'm intolerant of intolerance. I don't want you to be a part of my community, leave. But if you're not a bigot or a gatekeeper, how's it going? Thanks for being here. Sorry I have to keep doing this. They just won't leave for some reason. Let's grab some first level spells like Identify to tell you what a magical item is and how many charges it has left if you need to know what some gem technology is doing. Magic Missile is very consistent, shooting 3 darts of force that deal 1d4 plus 1 force damage each and automatically hit. It's not the most exciting thing, but sometimes saving the universe doesn't need to be exciting. Featherfall prevents up to 5 falling creatures from taking falling damage. That's Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl, and the Mario Brothers, maybe? It's crossover time. Let's do it. Fog Cloud creates a 20-foot radius sphere of fog that heavily obscures the area, so everyone shooting in will have disadvantage. But you've got Magic Missile, so you still have a way to hit. That's called strategy, children. And of course, I'm grabbing Jump and Long Strider, 2 very basic physical buffs that a lot of characters get because a lot of characters can run and jump good. Jump triples your jump distance for a minute. Long Strider adds 10 feet of movement speed for an hour. Use this to be a little bit better than the humans. Now keep in mind, we're multi-classing spellcasters, so check check page 165 of the player's handbook, figure out how many spells you have at any given level, or just remember you basically have the slots of a wizard one level higher than you. You can recover some of these spell slots with Arcane Recovery, getting back spell slots equal to half your wizard level on a short rest. A whole 8 hours of sleep seems very impractical. Second level wizards can choose a school, and Bladesingers really like stabbing things, dancing, and still having intelligence be their main skill even though they like dancing. That's Pearl in a nutshell. You get the performance skill for free as well as Blade Songs. This lets you add your intelligence modifier to your AC and concentration saving throws. You have 10 feet of extra movement speed, and you have advantage on dexterity saves. This all lasts for a minute and doesn't require your concentration. You have an amount of uses equal to your proficiency bonus. Blade Songs only work if you're not wearing medium or heavy armor, which is why we didn't go Warforged. Merging with heavy armor still counts as wearing it, so this whole subclass would be moot. If you're looking for a spell to concentrate on, might I recommend Expeditious Retreat, letting you dash as a bonus action for up to 10 minutes. Since your movement speed is 50 feet with Long Strider and Blade Song, that will let you clear 150 feet in a single round after a double dash. Though a game cube doesn't seem like Pearl's thing, why is it a cube? Is that the optimal shape for a gaming device? Tensor's floating disc creates a floating spectral disc that hangs out 3 feet off the ground. Use it to rest your weapons on, or for extra platforms to jump off of. Hard light is so useful. Third level wizards can learn second level spells. Mirror Image creates 3 illusory duplicates of yourself. When someone tries to attack you, roll a d20. If you have all of them, they hit a duplicate on a 6 or higher. If you only have 2, it's an 8 or higher, and if you've only got 1 left, it's 11 or higher. No concentration, and it lasts for a minute. Hit them with a whole necklace worth of pearls. Magic Weapon makes a weapon magical in terms of overcoming resistances, but also adds 1 to the attack and damage rolls for up to an hour depending on your concentration. That concentration is really solid, by the way. Since we started as a fighter, you'll have proficiency with constitution saving throws, plus your intelligence modifier with the Blade Song up, so if you want, your weapon will always be a little extra sharp. Fourth level wizards get an ability score improvement. We'll start off by capping our dexterity. Actually, most of your spells aren't using your modifier yet. In fact, let's grab another spell that uses your dexterity modifier more than your intelligence modifier, Shadow Blade. That summons a spectral psychic sword that deals 2d8 psychic damage. It's finesse, it can be thrown. It has advantage on rolls in dim or dark light. You can keep this sword up for a minute depending on your concentration, so no magical weapon at the same time, but this will basically do the same thing. If you'd rather play defensive, Lure will give creatures disadvantage to hit you for up to a minute depending on your concentration. Pairing this with Mage Armor, Mirror Image, and Blade Singing, and a shield reaction will make you an absolute nightmare to hit. But 5th level wizards get an instantly better option with Haste, giving you +2 to your AC, advantage on dexterity saving throws, doubled movement speed, and an extra action to dash, disengage, hide, use an object, or make a single attack. Again, this pairs with Long Strider and Blade Song. You can be the fastest gem by a wide margin. Keep in mind, after the spell goes down, you will need to take a round off of actions and reactions, but it lasts for a minute and you're too focused to drop concentration. Do your work. Counterspell lets you shut down spells of 3rd level or lower as a reaction automatically, and higher level spells with an intelligence check of 10 plus the spell's level. You could already deflect attacks with your swords, now you can straight up slash through a laser. 6th level Blade Singers get an extra attack, letting you make 2 attacks with your action instead of 1, and Blade Singer's version also lets you cast a cantrip instead of one of those attacks. So if you're surrounded, hit the baddies with the sword burst first. For this level spell, the spell magic is like counterspell with an action, and it can work on multiple spell effects at the same time if you want to get a little more active. Protection from energy gives a creature resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage for an hour depending on your concentration. Nobody hurts your adopted son, at least not with acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage for an hour depending on your concentration. 7th level wizards can learn 4th level spells. Banishment forces a charisma saving throw on a creature. Failing that, they're sent to a harmless demi-plane for up to a minute unless they're from the other plane. Then they go back to their home plane, and if you hold concentration, they stay bubbled in their home plane. Locate creature lets you find rogue gems, either a specific one or a general type of creature within 1,000 feet of you, and if it's moving, what direction it's moving in for an hour depending on your concentration. You could use this to find the villains or to make sure Steven is somewhere safe. If he's not, good news, you're fast. Get there fast. 8th level wizards get an ability score improvement. Let's start investing in our intelligence, buffing the buffs from Blade Song even higher. If you like defensive buffs, Stone Skin will give you resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage for an hour depending on your concentration. You're a rock, you should always have Stone Skin. Goliath would be a decent option for a gem race, so would Warforged, so would High Elf, so that's why I went with Custom Lineage. It'll make everyone mad. Stone Shape lets you mold some stone in a 5-foot cube. You can make a door, you can make a hat, you can make a sword, like another sword. You could always use more swords. 9th level wizards get 5th level spells. Steel Wind Strike lets you do that cool anime thing where you just click your sword on the sheath and then 5 dudes get sliced in half. You know, that thing. This lets you make a melee spell attack against creatures within 30 feet of you, dealing 6d10 force damage to all the creatures you hit, and you can end your turn teleporting to a space within 5 feet of one of the creatures you hit. Nothing personnel, kid. Legend Lore lets you know more about a person, place, or thing of legendary renown. The more you already know about it, the more information you get. This spell has kind of a reputation for being bad, but that's on DMs that are too precious with their lore. Hey DM, your player cast a 5th level spell. Give them something tasty. You don't have something tasty? Make up something tasty. All that lore you're holding in isn't good for you. Give your players a history lesson. 10th level Bladesingers get Song of Defense, letting you spend a reaction and some spell slots to protect yourself from damage while you're blade singing. This reduces the incoming damage by 5 times the spell slot you spent. I'd say try to shut down damage with shield or counter spell, but this is a fine backup. For this level spell, Skill Empowerment lets you give a creature expertise in a skill they're proficient with for an hour. You could use this for better acrobatics or performance or any other skill you have. Or you could just correct your party members. You wouldn't have to if they stopped doing things wrong. Animate Objects lets you animate some objects, letting you turn a bunch of objects into living allies. They have different stats depending on their size. I wouldn't get into all of them since the video is already going to be long, but animate some swords. More swords, all the swords. 11th level wizards can learn 6th level spells. Tasha's Otherworldly Guise is like an upgraded haste, giving you a 40-foot flying speed, plus 2 to your AC, immunity to fire and poison damage, or radiant and necrotic damage, and the poisoned or charmed conditions. You get to pick. It lasts for a minute depending on your concentration, and it's a solid base for any fusions. Pair this with another gem casting haste on you, you'll be hard to handle. Sunbeam lets you fire lasers that force a constitution saving throw on creatures in a 60-foot line, dealing 6d8 radiant damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. It also blinds creatures that fail for a round, and you can spam that laser every round for a minute depending on your concentration. Honestly, not that great for fusion. Use spells to become the ultimate gish when you fuse. Lasers are just fun because, they're lasers. 12th level wizards get another ability score improvement, cap off your intelligence modifier for some seriously powerful stuff. Seriously, with Mage Armor and Bladesong, your base AC is 23. Pop the Otherworldly Guise or Haste, you're at 25 AC, then you can use Shield for 30 AC. It's a lot of spells, but hey, it's also 30 AC. That's nothing to ignore. For this level spells, we're going to clean up some stuff I wanted to grab earlier, like Sending, which sends a message of 25 words or less to a creature on the same plane, and 95% of the time it'll work on other planes as well, to keep communicating with everyone when you travel the galaxy. Enhance Ability lets you give a creature advantage on skill checks of a certain type. If you choose Strength, their carrying capacity doubles. If you choose Dexterity, they can ignore falling damage from heights of 20 feet or less, and if you choose Constitution, they get 2d6 temporary HP. I'd use this for when you need to lift things for an hour. Pearl does have super strength, even if we're not grabbing it in the build, we just don't need it most of the time. 13th level wizards get 7th level spells, so we can grab another sword like Arcane Sword, which conjures a floating spectral sword that you can use with your bonus action to make a melee spell attack. Each hit deals 3d10 force damage. It's pretty bad compared to Spiritual Weapon, Cleric Spell, because it requires concentration, but it's a sword and you like swords. Plane Shift lets you and up to 8 creatures transport to another plane, or you can force a charisma saving throw on a creature after you hit them with a melee spell attack. After that, they have to get back to Earth on their own. Bubbling is sort of hard to do, but this is a good way to kick your enemies out of the game. 14th level Bladesingers get Song of Victory, letting you add your intelligence modifier to the damage of your melee weapon attacks when you're blade singing. That's a plus 10 modifier to each stab. Honestly, it might make haste more useful than the Otherworldly Guise if you're just looking to put out damage and don't care about the defensive buffs or flying speed. For this level spell, Project Image lets you make an illusory duplicate of Pearl within 500 miles of you. You can see through its senses, and creatures will think that it's you unless they pass an investigation check against your spell DC, but it also doesn't hold up to physical inspection. But this is the perfect way to social distance. If you actually have to physically be there, Teleport lets you bring up to 8 people to a place somewhere else. It'll be more successful the more familiar you are with the location, so you can't go anywhere in the universe, but you're pretty well traveled. You've been to a considerable amount of planets. 15th level wizards can learn 8th level spells. Clone slowly builds a clone over 120 days. If you die, your soul will go into the clone, so you never have to worry about dying. Steven could die though, so yeah, maybe have a backup. Demiplane creates a demiplane you can use to trap creatures inside for probably the best bubble option, or a demiplane you can keep returning to for a sword closet. By the way, if you're looking to buy a home, make sure that you're buying one with a sword closet. Otherwise, what's the point? Our Capstone is the 16th level of wizard. For one last ability score improvement, might as well invest in Constitution for better HP and an absolutely incredible concentration save with a Blade Song up. For our last spells, let's scoop up Contingency, letting you store a spell that takes an action to cast, only targets you, and is of 5th level or lower by casting it at the same time you cast Contingency. You set an event that will trigger the spell to pop sometime in the next 10 days, like Haste activating at the start of a fight, or Protection from Energy when you take elemental damage. It might not be as fun as playing things by the seat of your pants, but technically, you don't wear pants. Finally, if you're just looking to stab things, and who isn't, Tensor's Transformation gives you 50 temporary HP, advantage on weapon attacks, and an extra 2d12 force damage to each weapon attack for up to 10 minutes depending on your concentration. While the spell is up, you can't cast other spells, and when it's over, you need to make a DC 15 Constitution saving throw, or you'll take a level of exhaustion. It's a risky move, but it can pay off big if you just want to be a giant woman. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, Bladesingers are just hilariously hard to hit. With 20 AC after a Blade Song and Mage Armor, not to mention Haste and Otherworldly Guise, or Shield, or Song of Defense, or Counterspell, or Stone Skin, or Protection from Energy, you've got a lot of methods of cutting the damage down. You're also loaded with banishing abilities and spells to kick people out of initiative initiative and leveling the playing field against White Diamond's forces. Finally, you're pretty decent at putting the damage out, with a plus 12 damage modifier and extra attack, pumping it even higher with Tensor's Transformation if you don't mind skipping out on spells for a second. For weaknesses, wisdom saves are really common and you're really bad at them. You also use a lot of spell slots with all your abjuration, so you might not have enough to keep counterspelling every round. Finally, those fighter levels don't really do much for you, even if Weapon Bond is in character. Just focus on Bladesinger and you can get 9th level spells. 9th level spells are really good, but you're still really good too. Flourish your sabers, light your swords, and keep Steven safe. Just try not to die, even if you would totally do it for her. For him, of course. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more. We make 2 videos every week. Join the Patreon for this character sheet and a whole bunch more, and sub to Tulok and Mango for more Tulok fun.